Ending racism and police brutality. It is the topic that had the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners talking for hours.
News 8's Jacqueline Francis was listening in on tonight's virtual meeting, and she's in studio control with the latest. Jacqueline?
Sue and Brian, both measures passed with a 9-2 vote. And while similar resolutions have already been adopted by communities across the country, these were still a major point of conversation during tonight's meeting.
Morse.
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Tonight, Kalamazoo County's Board of Commissioners is taking action in the fight against racism and police brutality. After receiving overwhelming support from the community, the board members agreed to put 2 resolutions to a vote, 2 weeks earlier than expected. The first resolution declares racism as a public health crisis in Kalamazoo County. Commissioner Stephanie Moore, who introduced the resolution, telling me people who deal with structural racism have the worst health outcomes, and this measure will acknowledge and address the issue.
Through county government, where we are the heartbeat for health and human services, we have to acknowledge that systemic racism exists, what we can do to dismantle that so that we can get better health outcomes for the most vulnerable people in our community.
An issue that's only been made more apparent during the coronavirus pandemic. As she says, the Black community has been disproportionately affected by COVID-19.
We have a higher rate of actually becoming positive with COVID-19, and our outcomes are even more disparate than others in terms of dying at a much higher rate.
By declaring racism a public health crisis, the county is committing itself to reviewing policies and procedures that allow for the health disparities to exist, in addition to assigning the Equity Task Force to brainstorm new partnerships and solutions. The next measure passed has to do with ending police brutality, a national conversation that's hit home for many of the commissioners.
And we even have situations here locally in Kalamazoo County where people are not being treated fairly, not with decency and respect. And there has been many instances of excessive force, and typically amongst people of color and people in urban communities. And what we want to clearly say is no more. We have to put an end to it.
While commission members discussed these measures at length tonight, there hasn't been much written or said about exactly how they'll carry out these resolutions. But that's something we expect to hear a lot more of in the weeks to come. Reporting live in studio control, Jacqueline Francis, News 8.